Okay, if everybody wants to settle down, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, my name's Charlie Dorsey. I work in the Office of Threat Assessment here on campus. So it's something that I like to talk to everybody, put a face to a name before at the start of the school year so we can do what we need to do in order to further our mission within the Office of Threat Assessment. Briefly, my background, excuse me, as you can see, I started here back in 1971, so when I say Roll Tide, I mean it to you guys. And had a great 4 years here, went on to, as you can see, some forensics, but mainly there with the FBI for almost 30 years, including doing criminal profiling and threat assessments. Little did I know how that would impact my future. I ended up retiring from the Bureau in 2010, working a couple of years for Mercedes before the university called and said, hey, we've got something that I think you might be interested in helping us with. And of course I was. I've been here 5 years now with the Office of Threat Assessment. And here's the reason, quite honestly, why I'm here and why I'm up here talking to you guys today. On your left, the horrific events in Virginia Tech University back in April of 2007. Had 32 individuals killed during that horrific event. At the time, it was the largest mass killing on U.S. soil. Unfortunately, it's been supplanted a couple of times since then. And then more recently, I think what everybody's familiar with is the Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida shooting, where the individual came in, an ex-student, with a couple of different weapons. He only used an assault rifle in that particular situation. But what we needed to do, or what these were wake-up calls for higher education to better do the job of figuring out who these people were, and more importantly, what we can do to stop these events and stop reacting to these events. And that's exactly what the University of Alabama has done, and done well. At this point, our main focus is to intervene prior to any attack or whatever. Identify the individuals, talk to them, see what we can do to help their situation, to improve their time here at the University of Alabama, and do whatever it is to stop any type of actions like we saw the slides of a little bit earlier. So be proactive instead of reactive, something you'll hear me say if you ever hear me speak again over and over and over. Because if you look back at those two events, and we look back at for some lessons learned, and the word was out on both those shooters. Both of them were known individuals to a number of different entities within the high school, the community there in Parkland, and there at the university there at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. So it's up to us as people within offices like the threat assessment to ensure that there's good conversation, good communication between various disciplines within the university. Oh, wait a minute, let me go back real quick. Because this is something that comes up from time to time, and I always like to just mention it. If you hear somebody, see somebody writing or verbalizing, communicating a threat, obviously it needs to be you need to look into it and figure out exactly what's going on. But those aren't the ones that you worry about. You worry about the ones that don't say anything about what they're going to do. And I know you've got a ton of literature out on leakage before an event, whatnot, and I don't buy it. From a research standpoint, when you look historically at these events, thankfully we don't have a whole lot of them to deal with, but for the most part, there is no prior warning from a threat standpoint. Now, there are other warnings that we're going to talk about in just a moment. And here's our other moment. These are some common characteristics of the potentially violent students. So in other words, in y'all's new position, this is what you kind of need to look out for. And this is strictly something that I've come up with my prior time with the FBI and then my time here at the University of Alabama. And you have a copy of the slide within your notebook and whatnot. Observed as an outsider, evidence of past violence behavior. And that's something that, I can't emphasize enough. In my experience in dealing with human behavior over a long time now, the one thing, if you don't remember anything else about, the old guy that was talking with us earlier this morning, remember the fact that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. These individuals don't wake up one day and snap, if you will, to use that term. You look back and you're going to see the warning signs that were there. It's a continuum of behavior. They're not isolated events. They're something that's been in the plan and working stages for a long period of time. So go on down, history of stalking, fascination with and access to weaponry, something that honestly scares me, and being in Alabama with the hunting, and I enjoy hunting and whatnot, but on campus there's a strict policy. The only people you'll see with a gun or that are allowed with a weapon on campus are the police officers. So if you ever see a weapon, somebody says, no, I got a concealed permit or I have a permit to carry this. No, not on campus, you don't. Self-justification for violence, an eye for an eye, that type of mentality, desire to avenge self-pertained wrongs. Something, again, that gets deep into sometimes the psyche with individuals that are reacting to a situation. But those are the types of behavior, and again, something for those of you that will be in front of students and asking students to turn in reports or to perhaps turn in a paper, and you're reading that report and you're like, the hair on your neck's standing up or something. Listen to yourself, listen to your body with things like that, and put it up through the ranks. Identify these individuals, let somebody come and talk to them and see exactly what's going on, and hopefully we can do something to again make it more of a positive time here at the university for all of us, because nobody has, you don't want your student, your fellow students, your whoever, to come to work and having to look over your shoulder every day. Again, our objective is to identify the individuals, assess them, and give them the resources that are necessary to, again, enhance their time. I keep saying that here at the University of Alabama. But that's the most important thing that we have here at the university are the various resources. And I think after myself that you're going to have someone from the University Counseling Center here. People such as that, and again, sometimes it's as easy as sitting down and just talking about what your problem is and figuring out what the next best step is. We've got the Student Health Center where we have 3 psychiatrists that work for the University of Alabama at our disposal for the times that they need to get involved and intervene with a particular student. Continuing on, the university has a behavioral intervention team, a multidisciplinary group that looks at the activity in the students, staff, and faculty on a weekly basis. We meet once a week, every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock over in Mary Burke dorm, and we talk about the agenda for the week with the students. What the students that we talked about the week prior, we continue the process. It's not just a one-time deal when we get involved with the individuals. But as you can see, we have a vast, there's a lot of different people that are involved with this. Dr. Pagani, one of your mentors for today, is an integral part of that team that meet and we talk about the students. So the summer has been kind of a lull period, or is usually a lull period. This summer wasn't a lull period for a couple of different students' reasons. But that being said, you can look down the Title IX, the Office of Student Conduct, of course the police department. We have an attorney there to give us advice on what we can and can't do. Dr. Keys from the Counseling Center, Human Resources, because from time to time we talk about staff members, and Dr. Laura Sanders from the Housing and Residential Communities, where again we talk and we make sure that the individuals that work in our housing developments, the dorms, whatnot, are quick to see any changes in behavior that we can get into before and not after the fact of some type of aberrant behavior. So that's the kind of the first step, is a behavioral intervention team. The next step And actually, I have a slide. These slides are out of order. I don't know. I was late at night when I put this together, I think. But the next level with the behavioral threat assessment program at the University of Alabama is this, the university's threat assessment team. Now you look at that and you've got some more heavy hitters, if you will, decision makers that can make that instantaneous call and have an individual dismissed from classes or whatever it takes. This group, thankfully, rarely meets. It's not a situation where the behavioral intervention team, because of the way it was set up, the way we communicate with one another, has solved most of the problems. However, if necessary, we convene these individuals for whatever the inappropriate behavior is, and most of the time the individual would go on some type of suspension if this group gets involved. Here's the slide that should have been before the last two slides. As you can see, we've got 4 distinct populations at the University of Alabama. On the bottom, as you see, you've got students, staff, faculty, and visitors. You might think, who are visitors? Well, visitors, it's an open campus. There's a major highway running through the university, so we have to open it up. On 7 weekends each fall, we have about 200,000 visitors. So that's very problematic. And for those of you that haven't been to a game day situation, believe me, we've been working on the security on those for since the last national championship was won back in November, or I guess it was January. But as you can see, it goes up the list all the way up to the top with Dr. Stuart Bell. So from that standpoint, again, I'm out of time. I'll take some quick questions if you ask real quick. But what I want to say is you guys are the eyes and ears of the University of Alabama. You're going to, on a daily basis, see individuals that may perhaps need some assistance. If that happens, let somebody know. Let whoever know if you don't feel good about that. Again, Charlie Dorsey, my name and number and all's in the book there with the email. Let me know, and we'll definitely take care of whatever the problem is. Again, any questions or got time for any quick? Not really? Okay. I'm going to stay in the back there for a couple of minutes. If somebody's got a question, please come let me know. Give me a call later today, whatever. But again, it was great. Again, welcoming you to the University of Alabama. Enjoy your time here. But if, in fact, you ever need the services of our office, please don't hesitate to give me a shout. Thank you, guys.